हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पथ आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिश्चेदसादनं प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती वीणाममित्रयवतो गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम ओम अपवित्र पवित्रो वा सर्वा तमंगतोभिवा यस्मरेदपुण्डरीकाक्षं सबाह्याभ्यन्तरः शुचि ओम भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् ओम आपो ज्योतिर्रसो अमृतं ब्रह्म भूर्भुवस्सुवरो हरिः ओम ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम पादयुगदाख्यं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम हस्तगदाख्यं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम आचमनीयं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम स्नानं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम स्नानानन्तरम् आचमनीयं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः वस्त्र यज्ञोपवीत उदनाय अवनार्थम् अक्षरं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम गन्धं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम हरिद्रा कुंकुमचूर्णं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम पुष्पं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम फलं समर्पयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम धूपं समर्पयामि ओम नसाङ्गं कुकुलोपेदं सुगन्धं मनोहरं मार्गेय सर्वदेवानां पञ्चधूपमङ्गलमयामि ओम धूपमास्वापयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम दीपं समर्पयामि ओम साज्यं सत्य संयुक्तं नव्यायुतं मया ग्रहमङ्गलानि महामङ्गलदीपं दर्शयामि प्रत्यक्ष दीपं दर्शयामि ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम कठोर आराधि समर्पयामि ओम कुबेराय वैष्णवाय महाराजाय नमः ओम कठोर ज्योतिः हरिः ओम ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः ओम सद्गुरु चरणाबिन्दाभ्यां नमो नमः ओम गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरु देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषदेव परोगिनः निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सद्गुरु चरणाबिन्दाभ्यां नमो नमः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम ओम भद्रं कर्णे विष्णुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिद्यत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः शस्त्रभागं शस्त्रनोभिः यशेम देवैतं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूष्या विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम गणेश शरणं शरणं गणेश 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 साईश शरणं शरणं साईश 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 गणेश शरणं शरणं गणेश 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 गणेश शरणं Sharanam Ganesha, Ganesha Sharanam, 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 Sharanam Ganesha.
Om Shri Sai Ram. My most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Swami. Respected elders, dear brothers and sisters, my loving Sai Ram to all of you. This Guru Poornima, Aylesbury Sai Center is so blessed and so humble to represent Mata Amritanandamayi. Mata Amritanandamayi is known as Amma, the hugging saint of Kerala. And Swami also refers to her as his sister. And in one of the press interviews in India, she emphasized that all of us should strive and live up to Swami's expectations and follow the message that Swami has given to all of us, that his life is his message. The path he's shown us for love and compassion, and that is the path everyone should be following. And that is the message she has given to all of us. One of our founder members, Brother Anish from Aylesbury Sai Center, he's had a wonderful experience, and in a few moments you will get to hear it from him. Brother Anish has been an ex-student from Swami's college, and he's also been an ex-student from Amrita Institute. Let's all listen to his wonderful experience and enjoy. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. By way of introduction, I had done my Masters in Business Administration from Puja. I've had a privilege of being a Sai student. And prior to that, I've also had a privilege of studying my engineering in Mata Amritanandamayi Institute in Coimbatore in India. So as I grew up in a Sai family, and as I grew up, the whole concept of spiritual master was only Sai, and as I evolved as a youth in the Sai family as well. And in the year 1996, I happened to have this opportunity of joining my engineering in Amrita institutions. As I joined there and I started going through things, I could see something very superhuman in the whole way the institution was organized, and could sense that this is no ordinary human being, in this case Mata Amritanandamayi, who is running this whole institutions. With this and my old concept of having only Sai as the spiritual master, I wrote an open letter to Swami, asking for, and my letter was henceforth, wrote to Swami, are you and Amma same? That was just what I wrote, and I had this habit of writing letters and posting it to Puttaparthi during those days. And as usual, I wrote this and posted to Puttaparthi. This was on a weekend, and in the year 1996, a few months after joining the college. The next Monday in the college, I happened to hear that Amma, Mata Amritanandamayi, was on her way from Kerala to Tamil Nadu, Chennai, and on the way she might stop in the institute, and she might give darshan to the children and the students and the teachers who were around. So I was curious. I thought, why not? But I equally knew that I had written this question to Baba the previous weekend. And on the Thursday next, she happened to come there and I happened to be in the line to stand for darshan. So as you all know, she is known as the hugging saint. So her darshan is you come close to her and she kind of talks to you in your ears. So the lady and the person in front of me had passed. And the moment my turn came, she looked at me sternly and started laughing like Kali. Her laugh at that point in time intrigued me. But equally, when I came close to her, she asked me this question: "You doubt Amma?" And then she gave me a small pat on my cheek, then came close to my ears and said, "All are same" in Malayalam, which is the local language there. So here I am asking this question to Swami a week back in terms of "Are you and Amma same?" And a week later, Amma appearing in front of me in the form of a darshan in the college and then telling me all are same. To me, that's this very beautiful instance of experience with Mata Amritandamai, or rather my first experience with Mata Amritandamai, where both Swami and Amma opened my eyes to the concept that all are one and a divinity exists in different forms. The difference is only in our eyes. God is there in every human being and every divine person. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, happy Guru Poornima. In our SSC, we are learning about Mahabharata, right? Who's your favourite character? Is Arjuna your favourite?
Yes, he's my favourite, and I like his archery skills, focus and concentration.
Do you know who made him the best in archery? Yes, I do know. It is the great Dronacharya. Dronacharya was the guru to both Pandavas and Kauravas. He was an invincible warrior. No one on earth could defeat him. He had a powerful armory of weapons and incredible skill. Can you please tell me more about Guru Dronacharya? I do not know much, but we can ask in our above class lesson. I have a question for everyone. Can anyone who knows something about the great Dronacharya please tell me?
Dronacharya was born to Rishi Bhardwaj and was born in a pot. That's where the name Drona comes from. He was the incarnation of Bruhaspati. He was the guru of the gods.
Drupada was the prince of Panjala, and he became a close friend to Drona while they were studying together in Gurukul. Drupada promised Drona that when he becomes king, he would give half of the kingdom to Drona.
After a few years, Drupada became king of Panchala. Dronacharya married Kripi and had a son called Aswadharma. Dronacharya was living in poverty and found it hard to feed his family.
Knowing that Parshuram was giving away all his fruits of penance, Dronacharya approached him to get some help, but by the time he had reached, nothing was left. So Parshuram gave all his knowledge of the Brahmastras and trained him.
Learned many skills, his livelihood did not get any better. He remembered the promise made by his childhood friend Drupad, who became the king. After this realization, he approached him for help. Drupad behaved as if he did not know Dronacharya and humiliated him. He clearly differentiated between royalty and poverty. Drupad said only people of the same status can be friends. Namaste.
After some time, when Dronacharya visited Hastinapur, he was chosen by Bhishma Pitamaha, the grandfather of the Kauravas and Pandavas, to teach them military skills. As a result of this, he was no longer in poverty.
Kauravas and Pandavas became strong and skilled under his teachings. Arjuna became his favorite among them for his concentration, focus, and intelligence. He also became very good in archery. As a Guru Dakshina, each student will offer something to their gurus. Arjuna also offered his Guru Dakshina by fulfilling the wish of Dronacharya to capture Drupada.
One day, when Dronacharya took all his students to the forest, they came across a dog who was unable to speak, for his mouth was full of arrows. They then discovered it was Ekalavya, who learned archery by practicing in front of Dronacharya's statue. As a Guru Dakshina, Dronacharya asked to give him his right thumb, which Ekalavya did without any hesitation, showing his great respect for his guru.
Dronacharya was one of the most powerful and destructive warriors in the Kurukshetra war. After the fall of Bhishma, he became the chief commander of the Kuru army. Dronacharya used his knowledge and set up the Chakravyuha formation in the Mahabharata war.
As Dronacharya was on the Kaurava side, he knew that only Krishna and Arjuna knew how to enter and exit from Chakravyuha, and this made it challenging for the Pandavas. Abhimanyu, who is the son of Arjuna, knew how to enter into it, but did not know how to exit.
Dronacharya was so attached to his son, Ashwatthama, that after hearing about Ashwatthama's death, he immediately became weak and threw away all his arms and sat down for meditation. His soul left his body before Drishtadyumna killed him. Sai Ram.
So, what have we learnt from Guru Dronacharya's life?
Only Guru can make us more intelligent, strong, and lead us away from the darkness of ignorance. We learn about the qualities of dedication, focus, concentration, selfless service, forgiveness, humility, loyalty, and hard work from Guru Dronacharya.
As Bhagavata students, we must always show utmost respect to our Gurus. Let us offer our sincere prayers to our Guru Sri Sathya Sai Baba and offer as Guru Dakshina to follow his teachings of the human values: love, peace, non-violence, truth, and right conduct. Jai Sai Ram.
Jai Sai Ram from the Cambridge Sai Center. Agastya Maharshi was a revered Indian sage of Hinduism. In the Indian tradition, he is a noted recluse and an influential scholar in diverse languages of the Indian subcontinent. He and his wife Lopamudra are the celebrated authors of hymns in the Sanskrit text Rig Veda and other Vedic literature. Agastya appears in numerous Idyasas and Puranas, including the major Ramayana and Mahabharata. He is one of the 7 most revered rishis in the Vedic texts. Agastya is credited with the composition of some Rigvedic hymns and also many miracles. He is also considered as a father of Tamil literature. His knowledge and wisdom was greater than the combined knowledge and wisdom of all the sages in the world. According to legends, he married Lopamudra, whom he created himself, combining all the beautiful aspects of the being of the forest, and lived with her in a hermitage south of the Vindhyas. When all the sages went to attend the wedding of Lord Shiva in the Himalayas, Agastya stayed in the south and kept the equilibrium between the north and the south. According to the Puranas, once the Vindhya mountains grew so high that they obstructed the light of the sun and were on the verge of entering the heavens. The gods grew worried at this development and approached Agastya for help. Agastya went and stood before the mountains. The mountains prostrated in reverence to him. Agastya blessed the mountains and asked them to remain prostrated forever. The mountains obeyed his command and remained prostrated from then on, thus saving the world and the heavens. This incident earned him the epithet Vindhyakuta, or the subduer of the Vindhyas. According to some historians, his encounter with the mountains is an allegorical reference to his crossing the mountains and traveling south, which is considered an important event in the history of Hinduism, as it led to the integration of many southern traditions into Vedic religion and its eventual flowering into the present form. Jai Sai Ram.
साई हमारा श्वास है, साई विश्वास है,
साई हमारा श्वास है, साई विश्वास है।
जीवन के हर मोड़ पर साई का ही साथ है, साई हमारा श्वास है,
साई विश्वास है। जीवन के हर मोड़ पर साई का ही साथ है,
साई हमारा श्वास है। सोहम साई ओम, सोहम साई ओम, सोहम साई ओम, सोहम साई ओम। साई हमारा प्राण है,
साई हमारा प्राण है, साई हमारा ज्ञान है,
साई हमारा ज्ञान है। लेकिन सबको लुभाने वाला रूप सलोना प्यारा,
लेकिन सबको लुभाने वाला रूप सलोना प्यारा।
साई का ही प्यार है, साई हमारा श्वास है, साई ही विश्वास है। जीवन के हर मोड़ पर साई का ही साथ है, साई हमारा श्वास है। सोहम साई ओम, सोहम साई ओम, सोहम साई ओम, सोहम साई ओम।
सत्य धर्म और शांति में अहिंसा प्रेम ही सबकी नींव है।
सत्य धर्म और शांति अहिंसा प्रेम ही सबकी नींव है। साई का सबको है संदेशा प्रेम भाव से जीना है।
साई का सबको है संदेशा प्रेम भाव से जीना है। साई प्रेम है, प्रेम ही साई जीवन का यही मंत्र है।
साई प्रेम है साई जीवन का यही मंत्र है। साई हमारा प्यार है, साई हमारा श्वास है। साई विश्वास है जीवन के हर मोड़ पर। साई का ही साथ है, साई हमारा श्वास है। साई हमारा श्वास है, साई हमारा श्वास है। सोहम साई हो, 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 सोहम साई हो।
Sri Sai Ram. As an offering for Guru Poornima, we revere one of the greatest masters of all time, Guru Narendranath Datta, mostly known as Swami Vivekananda, a charismatic Indian spiritual leader of the 19th century. He says, "Be not afraid of anything. You will do marvelous work. It is fear that is the great cause of misery in the world. It is fear that is the greatest cause of superstitions. It is fear that is the cause of all our woes, and it is fearlessness that brings heaven in a moment. Therefore, arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached."
We are responsible for what we are, and whatever we wish ourselves to be. We have the power to make ourselves. If what we are now has been the result of our past actions, it certainly follows that whatever we wish to be in the future can be produced by our present actions. So we have to know how to act.
It preached, love one another. What for? But the explanation is here. Why should I love everyone? Because they and I are one. Why should I love my brother? Because he and I are one. There is this oneness, this solidarity of the whole universe. From the lowest one that crawls under our feet to the highest beings that ever lived. All have various bodies, but are the one soul.
Soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines or dogmas or rituals or books or temples or forms are but secondary details.
Do not believe a thing because you have read about it in a book. Do not believe a thing because another man has said it was true. Do not believe in words because they are hallowed by tradition. Find out the truth for yourself. Reason it out. That is realization. On this auspicious day of Guru Poornima, we pay our humble respect to all of the Gurus from the past, present and future. With love from Edmonton Sai Centre, Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Introduction to Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa. Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa was one of the most prominent religious figures of India during the 19th century. Born in a simple Bengali rural family in 1836, he pursued the divine sadhana throughout his life in various forms and believed in divine embodiment of the Supreme Being in every individual. Sri Ramakrishna was the embodiment of spiritual salvation to the troubled souls from all walks of life. He opened the eyes of the Indians to the beauty, grandeur, strength of Hinduism at a time when their faith in religion had weakened. He was born not only to revive faith in Hinduism, but in all other faiths too. For the householders, he did not prescribe the hard path of total renunciation. He wanted them to discharge their obligations to their families. Their renunciation was to be mental. He inspired them to live God-centered lives while living as householders. His teachings to them stated, "Keep chanting God's name, think of his glory. Do satsang, be amongst holy people, visit holy places. Meditate in a solitary place. Protect and nurture your godly feelings and thoughts. Constantly deliberate and discriminate about right and wrong, truth and untruth, real and unreal. God alone is true. Discharge your duties as a householder with full responsibility, but always keep in mind that none of this belongs to you."
Guru Baba, Guru Baba, Guru Baba, Guru Baba, Charan Namostute Guru Baba, Charan Namostute Guru Baba, Sai Baba, Lal Baba, Sai Baba, Lal Baba, Sathya Baba, Shanta Swarupa Guru Baba, Shanta Swarupa Guru Baba, Guru Vara Guru Baba, Jaya Guru Vara Guru Baba, Jaya Guru Vara Guru Baba, Jaya Guru Vara Guru Baba. Guru Baba, Guru Baba, Guru Baba, Guru Baba, Charan Namostute Guru Baba, Charan Namostute Guru Baba, Sai Baba, Bal Baba, Sai Baba, Bal Baba, Sathya Baba, Prema Baba, Sathya Baba, Prema Baba, Guru Vara Guru Baba,
Sri Ramakrishna's opinion on founders of religions.
During his life, Sri Ramakrishna practiced other religions too, besides Hinduism, and experienced all to be true. His experiences revealed that a person belonging to any religion can strengthen his faith and experience of God. Proper study of the life of Sri Ramakrishna is sure to stem the tide of the general disbelief in religions around the world.
He explained complex spiritual concepts in a lucid and intelligible manner. In essence, his teachings were as traditional as that of ancient sages and seers, yet remains contemporary at any point of time. His teachings and principles were continued by his most prominent disciple, Swami Vivekananda.
It will be worthwhile to note here Sri Ramakrishna's sayings on Buddha and other founders of religions.
About Buddha, he shared the view of the Hindus that he was an incarnation of God. He used to offer him his sincere devotion and worship. Once he remarked, "There is not the least doubt about Lord Buddha being an incarnation. There is no difference between his doctrines and those of the Vedic Jnana Kanda."
He perceived Dvaita, dualism, and Advaita, non-dualism, to be different stages in man's progress towards the goal. He held that they were not contradictory, but complementary, being suited to different mental outlooks. In his room at Dakshineshwar, there was a small statue of Tirthankara Mahavir and a portrait of Christ, before which incense was lit morning and evening.
Of the seed gurus, he used to say that they were all incarnations of the saintly king, Janaka. Thus, as a result of his realization through all forms of spiritual disciplines, the master was firmly convinced that all religions are true and that every doctrinal system represented a path to God.
Thus, he used to say to his disciples, "I have practiced all religions, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, and I have also followed the path of the different Hindu sects. I have found that it is the same God towards whom all are directing their steps, though along different paths." He proclaimed, "All faith are true, as many faiths, so many paths."
Born as Venkataraman Iyer in 1879 in Tiruchuli, Tamil Nadu, Sri Ramana Maharshi was a 20th century South Indian sage known for his inquiry into "Who am I?" As a boy of 16 in 1896, he challenged death by questioning the source of his being. This resulted in a state that he later described as the state of mind of Jnani. Following this experience, he left home and journeyed to the holy mountain of Arunachala in Tiruvannamalai, where he took on the role of a sannyasi and remained there for the rest of his life. Sri Ramana Maharshi delivered several teachings, including those on happiness, reminding us that happiness lies within ourselves. Also on surrender, which can either be achieved by looking into the source of I and merging into that source, or having the feeling that I am helpless and that God alone is all-powerful, and therefore we must turn to Him for safety, thus developing that conviction that God alone exists and the ego does not count. Additionally, teachings on success and failure, reminding us that they are due to our destiny and not to willpower or the lack of it, and therefore one should try to gain equipoise of the mind under all circumstances, and that is willpower. The essence of Brahmana Maharshi's teaching is found in a small booklet called Who Am I? This booklet contains the first set of instructions given by Sri Ramana Maharshi from his unique experience of self-realization. This realization culminates in I am pure awareness. This awareness is by its very self Sat Chit Ananda. The thought, who am I, will ultimately destroy all other thoughts, and this leads to self-realization. When other thoughts arise, we should not pursue them, but rather diligently ask ourselves, to whom did these thoughts occur? It does not matter at all how many thoughts actually arise, but rather, as each thought does arise, we must inquire with alertness, to whom has these thoughts arisen? And the answer would be, to me. These thoughts have arisen to me. And thereupon we ask ourselves, who am I? And so the mind will go back to its source, and the thoughts that arose will eventually subside. And with this repeated practice in this very manner, the mind will develop the power to stay in its source. Whatever is destined not to happen will not happen, try as you may. Whatever is destined to happen will happen. Do what you may to prevent it. This is certain. The best course, therefore, is to remain silent. Let what comes come. Let what goes go. Find out what remains. Your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world. Happiness is your nature. It is not wrong to desire it. What is wrong is seeking it outside when it is inside. If the mind falls asleep, awaken it. Then, if it starts wandering, make it quiet. If you reach the state where there is neither sleep nor movement of mind, stay still in that, the real state. The greatest error of a man is to think that he is weak by nature, evil by nature. Every man is divine and strong in his real nature. What are weak and evil are his habits, his desires and thoughts, but not himself. No one succeeds without effort. Those who succeed owe their success to perseverance. The only useful purpose of the present birth is to turn within and realize the self. It will come all right in the end.
Om Shri Sai Ram. We, the devotees of Central London Sai Center, offer our prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our Divine Guru, Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. As part of the Region 3 Guru Poornima celebrations, we will briefly narrate the virtues and greatness of one of the revered teachers of the Vedic tradition, namely Sri Bhishmacharya. Bhishma belonged to the ruling class of the Kuru dynasty, the then rulers of the region surrounding the modern capital city of Delhi. Yet, he was considered an acharya or teacher by many during his time. He is still considered to be a great teacher by religious-minded Hindus. To understand why, we should understand what the word acharya means and how he fits that description. The sacred text Yajnavalkya Smriti states three qualities of an acharya. Firstly, an acharya is one who has the knowledge of various scriptures and their meanings. Secondly, he imparts them to his students and makes them follow the path of right conduct. Finally, he observes them in practice himself. Bhishma fulfills the three conditions quite well and hence is considered an acharya. Let us see some examples of how he earned this title from his life and his works. The Mahabharata states that Bhishma learned various scriptures and codes of conduct directly from the rishis. As such, during his time, he was considered most well-versed in scriptures dealing with codes of conduct. Which is why, when he lay on his deathbed after the war, Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandavas, seeks his guidance on how to lead one's life and how to rule the kingdom well. This section of the Mahabharata is called Shanti Parva and is filled with gems of advice for good living and is referred by Hindus even today. It is here that Bhishma also teaches the famous Vishnu Sahasranama, the 1,000 names of Vishnu, which heralded the tradition of Namasmarana that continues till today. There are other anecdotes in Mahabharata that point to his knowledge and wisdom. The second quality of a teacher is that he encourages those whom he teaches to adopt them in practice. Bhishma was the first teacher of the Pandavas and Kauravas before Acharya Drona took over the responsibilities. Years later, when the Mahabharata war commenced, Bhishma laid down the rules of fighting before it began by setting righteous limits on how it should be conducted. Examples include: one should not strike a fallen or unarmed adversary. One should not fight after sunset, etc. As long as he was alive and leading the war, he ensured that the codes of conduct were adhered to by all warriors. Finally, he himself followed dharma all his life. At a very young age, when he was the most qualified among all to rule the kingdom, he sacrificed it for the sake of his father. Speaking about it, Swami said that his sacrifice was superior even to Rama's, for Rama sacrificed to protect his father's honor or his plighted word, but Bhishma sacrificed his kingship for the sake of his father's pleasure. He obeyed the most important rule of good conduct, namely that one should worship one's father and mother as God. He remained a celibate all his life as a consequence and never complained about his circumstances. His given name was Devavrata, but the celestials named him Bhishma the Terrible because of the vow he took, and he never swerved from it all his life. But his most important qualification was that he was a great devotee of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Swami has quoted Bhishma as a good example of Shanta Bhakti. During the Mahabharata war, enraged at Arjuna's reluctance to fight fiercely against his grandsire Bhishma, Krishna took up arms himself and charged towards Bhishma. Bhishma was least affected and instead considered it a blessing that he should die at the hands of Lord himself. He dropped his weapons and submitted willingly to Krishna. Though Krishna did not eventually kill him, it shows how peacefully accepting he was of whatever happened to him as God's grace. For all these reasons and more, people who follow the Hindu tradition revere him as a great teacher till today. Sai Ram.
Guru Mahima Sadguru Sai Ananta Guru Sadguru Sai Ananta Guru Sadguru Sai Ananta Guru Sadguru Sai Ananta Guru Brahmananda Ananda Ananda Guru Brahmananda Ananda Guru Brahmananda Ananda Guru Sarva Dharma Priya Sai Guru Sarva Dharma Priya Sai Guru Sai Guru, Sai Guru, Sathya Sai Guru, Sai Guru, Sathya Sai Guru, Sarva Dharma Priya
Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Satguru Jaranavindabhyam Namo Namaha. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Sarva Lokanam Visadeva Paroginaha Nidaye Sarva Vidyanam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Veraya Vaishnavanaya Maharajaya Namaha. Om. We begin the Abhishekam by starting with turmeric water, healthy water. And as you pour it over the Padukas, you can say Om Shri Guru Namaha. 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 You wash it off with some water. Followed by the next item, which is milk. Again, you may recite Om Shri Guru Namaha as you pour the milk over the Padukas. Om Shri Guru Namaha. 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 And again, wash it off with some clean water. Third item is dahi or yogurt or curd. Again, as you pour it over the Padukas, this recite Om Shri Guru Namaha. 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 Again, wash it off. Some clean water. Next item is honey. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. 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 And some clean water washed off. Next is tender coconut water. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. 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 The penultimate offering is the sandalwood powder, which you mix in a little bit of water first to give it a thick consistency. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. 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 And then you wash it off with rose water. So we started with turmeric as a purificant. And you know, turmeric has got antiseptic value. So we start with the turmeric water as the first offering of absolution. followed by milk, which of course I have said before, milk represents purity, the white pure milk that comes from the cow, which is fit for offering. In the same way, the bhakti that you have must also be naturally white and pure in order to be fit to be given to God as an offering. And then the yogurt is for coolness of the mind, fertility of the mind, where you can plant the seeds of bhakti, you can plant the seeds of jnana or wisdom. And then we honey. Honey represents, Shreem Kara mantra, right? So it comes from the bees. And if you look at the quality of honey and the characteristic of honey, it's translucent, thick, but at the same time, it's sweet and very transparent. So bhakti has to be sweet and transparent so that all who partakes of it can enjoy the sweetness or the nectar of the divine devotion. And then we followed by young coconut water, young tender coconut water, which represents Vamshavriddhi, or what we call lineage or parampara. So you ask God or whichever idol you're worshipping to give you a lineage that is so strong that it will carry on the sanskars of the parampara. And then sandalwood is basically fragrance. I mean, sandalwood, as you know, the quality of the wood is second to none. It is always used as the final offering, which is then, the final absolution is rose water, which is has the capacity to eradicate one of the panchadoshas or 5 sins. So let us now offer the final absolution, which is the rose water. Om Shri Guru Namaha. 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 The next step is to sprinkle some holy ash or vibhuti on the padukas. And you gently rub it, giving it a clean with the vibhuti. And when you wash it off, you will see that there's a certain luster that it begets, and it will shine. Which then makes it fit for the next stage, which is the recitation of the 108 names. you apply some chandan on it. Chandan represents Shiva, the force of that. Then you follow it up by a little bit of kumkum or tilak, which represents Shakti. So combined, you have the force and energy, which represents the balance of the world. There are three spots: the top, the middle, and the base. 3 spots represent 3 kalas, the 3 devis, 3 murtis, 3 gunas, 3 lokas, and the 3 vidyas. Okay, now the Paduka is actually ready for Archana. Sangam Gupala Vedam Sangam Yamanoham Makraya Sarvadevanam Sangam Gupala Om Satyam Dravati Samyuktam Manjinayovidam Maya Mahamangaladevam Trilokshirgira Mahamangaladevam Darshayame Om Pratyaksha Devam Darshayame Om Kuberaya Vaishnavanaya Mahalakshana Mahavom Chakura Jyotihi Chakura Samatpayame Om Harihi Om Vande Shambham Mavadim Suragurum Vande Jagatkaranam Vande Pannagabhushanam Margadaram Vande Pashunam Patim Vande Surya Shashanka Vandinayanam Vande Muhunda Priyam Vande Bhaktajanatya Hridaya Varatam Vande Shivam Shankaram Om Nidanapataye Namaha Om Nidanapatantikaya Namaha Om Urdhvaya Namaha Om Urdhvalingaya Namaha Om Hiranyaya Namaha Om Hiranyalingaya Namaha Om Subhadnaya Namaha Om Subhadnalingaya Namaha Om Divyaya Namaha Om Divyalingaya Namaha Om Sarvaya Namaha Om Sarvalingaya Namaha Om Shivaya Namaha Om Shivalingaya Namaha Om Atmaya Namaha Om Atmalingaya Namaha Om Paramaya Namaha Om Paramalingaya Namaha Etat Somasya Suryasya Sarvalingakya Stapayati Vani Mantram Pavitram Satyo Jatam Pravatyame Satyo Jataya Namo Namaha Ave Bhavenati Bhave Bhavasvamam Bhavotpavaya Namaha Vamadevaya Namo Sresthaya Namah Sresthaya Namo Tvaya Namakkala Namakkala Vigaranaya Namo Palavigaranaya Namo Balaya Namo Balapramadana Namo Sarvabhutadamanaya Namo Manonmanaya Namaha Gorehebhyo Gorehebhyo Gora Goradalebhyaha Sarvebhyo Sarvasarvebhyo Namastestu Uttararuphebhyaha Om Tatpurushaaya Vitmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat Om Tatmaheshaya Vitmahe Vakshashaya Dhimahi Tanno Shiva Prachodayat Harihi Om Radhanam Satyam Brahma Purusham Krishna Pingalam Urdhvaredam Virubhaksham Vishwarupaya Vai Namo Namaha Harihi Om Sri Sathya Sai Ishvara Stotra Nama Livaprayam Mahamadya Krishna Om Sri Bhagavan Sathya Sai Baba Namaha Om Sri Sathya Satrupaya Namaha Om Sri Sai Sathya Dharma Parayanaya Namaha Om Sri Sai Varadaya Namaha Om Sri Sai Satpurushaya Namaha Om Sri Sai Gunatmane Namaha Om Sri Sai Sadhuvattanaya Namaha Om Sri Sai Sadhujanabhushanaya Namaha ओम श्री साई सर्वज्ञाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वजनप्रियाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वशक्तिमूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वेशाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वसंग परित्यागिने नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वयंतरगामिने नमः। ओम श्री साई साई महात्मने नमः। ओम श्री साई महेश्वर स्वरूपाय नमः। ओम श्री साई पार्थिग्रमुद्भवाय नमः। ओम श्री साई पार्थि क्षेत्र निवासिने नमः। ओम श्री साई सकालेश्वर निवासिने नमः। ओम श्री साई ज्योतियादिवल्ली सोमपाय नमः। ओम श्री साई भारत ऋषिगोत्राय नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तवत्सलाय नमः। ओम श्री साई अवतात्मने नमः। ओम श्री साई अवतार मूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वभय निवारिणे नमः। ओम श्री साई अवस्थाम्रसुत्राय नमः। ओम श्री साई अभयप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई रत्नकरवंशोद्भवाय नमः। ओम श्री साई श्री अवेद शक्तित्वमदाराय नमः। ओम श्री साई शंकराय नमः। ओम श्री साई मूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री साई द्वारकमाय वासिने नमः। ओम श्री साई चित्रवती विहारिणे नमः। ओम श्री साई शक्तिप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई शरणागत त्राणाय नमः। ओम श्री साई आनंदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई आनंददाय नमः। ओम श्री साई आत्मत्राणपरायणाय नमः। ओम श्री साई अनाथनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री साई असहाय सहायाय नमः। ओम श्री साई लोकबांधवाय नमः। ओम श्री साई लोकक्षेमपालनाय नमः। ओम श्री साई लोकनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री साई दीनजनभूषणाय नमः। ओम श्री साई मूर्तित्रय स्वरूपाय नमः। ओम श्री साई मुक्तिप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई कलुषविदूराय नमः। ओम श्री साई करुणाकराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वाधाराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वहृदयवासिने नमः। ओम श्री साई पुण्यफलप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वपापक्षयहराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वरोगनिवारिणे नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वाबाधाहराय नमः। ओम श्री साई अनंतरूतकल्पनाय नमः। ओम श्री साई आदिपुरुषाय नमः। ओम श्री साई आदिशक्तये नमः। ओम श्री साई अपरूपशक्तिने नमः। ओम श्री साई अव्यक्तरूपिणे नमः। ओम श्री साई क्रोधत्वंशिने नमः। ओम श्री साई कनकांबरधारिणे नमः। ओम श्री साई अद्भुतजत्याय नमः। ओम श्री साई आवट्पाण्डवाय नमः। ओम श्री साई प्रेमात्मने नमः। ओम श्री साई प्रेममूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री साई प्रेमप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई प्रियाय नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तप्रियाय नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तमंडलाय नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तजनहृदयविहाराय नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तजनहृदयत्राय नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तपराधिनाय नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तज्ञानप्रदीपाय नमः। ओम श्री साई भक्तिप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सुज्ञानमर्गदर्शकाय नमः। ओम श्री साई ज्ञानस्वरूपाय नमः। ओम श्री साई गीताबोधकाय नमः। ओम श्री साई ज्ञानसिद्धिदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सुंदररूपाय नमः। ओम श्री साई पुण्यपुरुषाय नमः। ओम श्री साई फलप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ओम श्री साई पुराणपुरुषाय नमः। ओम श्री साई अतीताय नमः। ओम श्री साई कालातीताय नमः। ओम श्री साई सिद्धिरूपाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सिद्धसंकल्पाय नमः। ओम श्री साई आरोग्यप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई अन्नवस्त्रधाय नमः। ओम श्री साई संसारदुःखक्षयहराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वाभीष्टप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई कल्याणगुणाय नमः। ओम श्री साई कर्मत्वंशिने नमः। ओम श्री साई साधुमानसशोभिताय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वमत्तसम्मन्ताय नमः। ओम श्री साई साधुमानस परिशोधकाय नमः। ओम श्री साई साधक अनुग्रह बलवृक्षपतिरिक्षकाय नमः। ओम श्री साई सकल संशयहराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सकल तत्वबोधकाय नमः। ओम श्री साई योगीश्वराय नमः। ओम श्री साई योगीन्द्रवन्दिताय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वमंगलकराय नमः। ओम श्री साई सर्वसिद्धिप्रदाय नमः। ओम श्री साई आपन्निवारिणे नमः। ओम श्री साई आर्तिफलाय नमः। ओम श्री साई शांतमूर्तये नमः। Om Sri Sai Sulabha Prasannaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Nathaya Namaha. Om Guhibalasamayikam Nagaballedu Atali Phalam Nam Phalam Kashmir Phalam Naranga Phalam Palavargam Nivedayame. Om Pranaya Swaha Pranaya Swaha Pranaya Swaha Pranaya Swaha Samanaya Swaha Brahmane Swaha Om Tattvam Amadatmane Mahanevedyam Nivedayame Nivedhyanatara Mahamaniyam Samarpayame. Om Om Agnimele Purohitam Yatyasya Deva Mritvijo Bodhadaram Ratnadadamam Arivom Marivom Shet Kotvejo Bhayosta Devovatsa Vidat Praptana Sheshtamanaya Ganmane Arivom Marivom Agnaya Yudhitaye Gnano Yudadahe Nivoda Satchi Vargishi Arivom Shanno Devi Ravashtaya Bhavantu Gitaye Sanyor Vishwamantinaha Arivom Sri Chaturveda Mantra Javaparayanam Samaptam. Om Yobam Pushpam Veda Pushpavan Prajava Anpasuman Bhavati Chandramava Apam Pushpamo Pushpavan Prajava Anpasuman Bhavati Evam Veda Yobam Ayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Sri Sathya Sai Ishwaraya Namo Namaha. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayate. Asya Sri Guru Ashtakam Javaparayanam Karishye.
जन्मानेकशते सकाधरयुजा भक्त्या समाराधितो भक्तैर्वैदिकलक्षणेन विधिना सन्तुष्टैष स्वयं साक्षात् श्रीगुरुरूपमेत्य कृपया दृग्गोचरः सन् प्रभो तत्त्वं साधु विबोध्य तारयति तान् संसार दुःखार्णवान्। शरीरं स्वरूपं तथा वा कलत्रं यशश्चारुचित्रं दलं मेरुतुल्यं मनश्चेन लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं कलत्रं दलं पुत्रपौत्रादि सर्वं गृहं बान्धवा सर्वमेतत्ति जातं मनश्चेन लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं षडङ्गादिवेदो मुखे शास्त्रविद्या कवित्वादिगद्यं सुपथ्यं करोति मनश्चेन लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं विदेशेषु मान्य स्वदेशेषु धन्य सदाचारवृत्तेषु मत्तो न चान्य मनश्चेन लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं क्षमामण्डले भूपालवृन्दे सदा सेवितं यस्य पादारविन्दं मनश्चेन लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं यशो मे गतं दिक्षु दानप्रतापात् जगद्वस्तु सर्वं करे यत्प्रसादं मनश्चेन लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं न भोगेन योगेन बाबाजिराज न कान्तामुखेनैव वित्तेषु चित्तं मनश्चेन लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं अरण्येन वा स्वस्य गेहेन कार्ये न देहे मनोवर्तते त्वनर्ये मनश्चेन लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं गुरोरष्टकं यः पठेत् पुण्यतेः यतिर्भूपतिर्ब्रह्मचारी च गेहि लभेद् वञ्चितार्थं पदं ब्रह्मसंज्ञं गुरोरुक्तवाक्ये मनो यत्यलग्नं गुरोरुक्तवाक्ये मनो यत्यलग्नं गुरोरुक्तवाक्ये मनो यत्यलग्नम्.
Sai Ram.
Everyone, my name's Aarti and I'm from Luton Sai Centre. We've been allocated Guru Nanak to talk about. So, who is Guru Nanak? Guru Nanak was born in 1469 and was a very innocent child. Whilst growing up, the children of his age were playing and being mischievous, but he would sit and meditate in a corner of the house. His father wanted him to do business and would often give him money to try and invest and make profits out of, but he'd often give fruits or money away or in some way or form, and he was searching for a higher wisdom rather than monetary gain. His father was concerned of his behavior and got him married, and thereafter he thought that that would be the best for his son. But later, Guru Nanak kind of changed his path and was always questioning, what his life purpose was. And he wasn't interested in worldly pleasures. And so after he was married, he realized that that wasn't his path. So he spent most of his time in meditation, trying to search for the truth. And I think there was this one time where there's some certain miracles happened where he went to bathe and, he had disappeared and suddenly he reappeared, emerged from the water, but he looked so different, like he had some new divine wisdom as he was searching for the truth. The main kind of message that Guru Nanak wanted to give everyone was the fact that he wanted everybody to be seen as equal, as in God's eyes everyone should be seen as equal, and he also believed that service to man is service to God, and tried to follow that. There was this one time where he was invited to grand dinners, but he preferred to eat a simple meal, and at another person's home who people were saying were of a different caste, but he didn't see it in that way. He saw that that person was of equal status to him. There was nothing different amongst us human beings, and he said the one who serves with the pure heart is the most of highest value, rather than that of somebody who has things and they're trying to give. So it's about trying to be the best person possible and serving people and doing our best no matter what we have, but doing what we can with what we have at the end of the day, and do what is capable within our limits as well. I guess that was his main message. The other thing was he was one of the founders of Sikhism, as he was one of the first gurus of Sikhism. He's known as a messenger of God. And like Swami's birthday, Guru Nanak's birthday is also celebrated in November. And, this is a celebration which is, celebrated with lovely food and which is shared with the family. And that's how it's normally celebrated. Furthermore, he spread this wisdom and high knowledge, and even scholars from other religions and faiths and from different backgrounds, looked at his teachings and saw great value in the message that he was giving. The core teachings include, as I mentioned before, is oneness in the community, meditating and having focus on God, upholding unity and equality in our communities, and having selfless service to God and to humanity, and sharing our blessings with others. Japji Sahib is a sacred composition, one of the designated daily prayers and meditations for Sikhs. And Guru Nanak introduced this prayer, and he described the magnificence of God in this prayer, and how he also explains the understanding and his relationship with God in this. And this is a path to help one reach an eternal union with God. So in summary, this is how it goes. One supreme immortal reality manifested in Naam, Shabad, the sacred word, creator, father and mother of all beings, an unfathomable creation. No one is my enemy or a stranger outside of the circle of God's benevolence and mercy. Benevolent, compassionate King, without animosity and rancor against anyone, self-created, self-illuminated, free from the cycles of time's migration, wonderful Lord, immaculate, all-knowing, without limits or measure, eternal truth through the ages, from before the beginning to the end of time, life and creation. Guru Nanak taught us to treat all as the same, no matter from what faith or background. He emphasizes the importance of this again and again throughout his teachings. The main message still is relevant in today's society, so that we can all live in greater peace. He further instills the values to service to others, such as feeding the homeless and helping the needy. And furthermore, the three main concepts include to share and consume, sharing with others, helping those who are in need, as you live and eat together. Work honestly, earn an honest living without exploitation or fraud, and recite his name. Meditate on God's name, so to feel his presence and control the mind as well. And furthermore, the cardinal values from Guru Nanak include being truthful, being compassionate and righteous, and having faith in God, and having restraint when needed with our desires, and having forgiveness and doing great service to mankind. And finally, having the knowledge and the higher wisdom to do the righteous work in the community. So, I mean, ultimately, his main message is we are all one, and we should serve others when we can. So, I'm just going to finish with a short bhajan. I'm just going to do it in second speed in terms of about Guru Nanak. So the meaning of this bhajan, it goes, glory to Guru Nanak. Whoever sings thus, that person becomes liberated. Accept my salutation, Sai Baba. So, who is Allah? 10 million salutations. Accept these salutations of mine. Sai Baba, you are Father Jesus, our Lord. You are Buddha, Zoroaster and Mahavira. Accept these salutations of mine. Guru Nanak ji ki jai jai ka, jo bole so ho beniha. Allah Sai le lo salam, Maula Sai le lo salam. Salam salam lakho salam, salam salam mera salam. Ishu Pita Prabhu Sai Ram, Buddha Zoroaster Mahavira Nam. Salam salam lakho salam, salam salam mera salam. Salam salam le lo salam, salam salam lakho salam. Guru Nanak ji ki jai jai ka. Jai Sai Ram, everyone. Hope you found this informative about Guru Nanak. Thank you.
Sai Ram, respected elders and children, we are honoured today to tell you about Guru Adi Shankaracharya, who was a philosopher and theologian, born in Kaladi, Kerala in the 8th century. He lived at a time when Hinduism and Hindu practice were in turmoil in India. He re-established Hindu teachings and in particular promoted Advaita Vedanta philosophy, where the Atma in human beings is considered to be one with God. He toured the length and breadth of India promoting Hinduism and set up 4 monasteries at Karnataka, Uttarakhand, Gujarat and Odisha. Guru Adi Shankaracharya and his 14 disciples formulated 31 verses, known as the Bhaja Govindam. To guide us through life, we have selected 3 verses for our presentation.
Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karane.
Seek God therefore. When the time of death comes, non-religious learning and earthly possessions will not save you.
Satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nishchalatatvam, nishchalatatve jivanamukti.
Being in good company leads to detachment. Detachment frees us from illusory relationships. Freedom from illusions steadies the mind and enables us to experience God.
Geyam Gita Nama Sahasram, Dhyeyam Shripati Rupamajashram, Neyam Sajjana Sange Chittam, Teyam Dina Janaya Chavitam.
Recite the Gita and chant the 1,000 names of God. Meditate continuously on Vishnu and spend your time in the company of the good. Give away your wealth to those in need.
We hope you found this short presentation of interest and that you will be motivated to seek out, through the internet, the remaining 28 verses of the Bhaja Govindam. They are a treasure which will help all of us in our spiritual journey through life. Jai Sai Ram.
Sri Raghavendra Swami, also known as Guru Raya and Rayaru, was born as Venkatanada to Sri Timana Bhatta and Srimati Gopikamba in Bhuvanagiri, near present-day Chidambaram. Sri Raghavendra Swami is considered by his devotees to be a reincarnation of Prahalada, who was saved by Lord Vishnu in his Narasimha avatar. From a young age, Sri Raghavendra Swami proved to be a brilliant scholar and a skilled musician. He was well versed in Hindu scriptures, teaching children Sanskrit and other ancient Vedic texts. He endured a life of poverty, never demanding fees for his services. On numerous occasions, he and his family had to go without food several times a week, yet his faith in the Lord never diminished. He was an ardent devotee of Sri Mula Rama and Sri Panchamukha Anjaneya. He performed penance at a place called Panchamukhi, where he received darshan of Hanuman in the form of Sri Panchamukha Anjaneya. Sri Raghavendra continuously chanted stotras and mantras in his mind. Once, whilst touring Kumbakonam, he was invited to attend a function with his wife and son. The hosts were disrespectful in their manner, wanting him to earn his food by working, and asked him to make some sandalwood paste using a grinding slab. The paste was given to all the guests, who smeared it on their bodies. Immediately, they complained of a burning sensation all over. Surprised, the host questioned Sri Raghavendra Swami, who replied that he had been chanting the Agni Suktam whilst grinding the sandalwood. He had chanted this mantra with such devotion and dedication that the normal cooling sandalwood created a burning sensation. He then recited the Varuna mantra and succeeded in relieving the guests of their agony, who felt awash with a sense of being drenched in rainwater. Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, his spiritual guru, was looking for a successor to his school. He had dreamt that the Lord had indicated that Sri Raghavendra Swami would be the right person to succeed him. Sri Raghavendra Swami was initially hesitant, owing to his familial responsibilities to his wife and child. However, he was soon blessed by the goddess Saraswati, who indicated in a dream that he was to seek salvation as a sannyasi. His sannyasa ordination took place in 1621. On the Dvaitiya day of Shravana Krishna Paksha in 1671, Raghavendra Swami gave a soul-stirring speech to hundreds of devotees who had gathered to watch the event. He declared, "Without right living, right thinking will never come. Right living is the performance of the duties ordained by one's station in life, offering all activities to the Lord, without concern for the fruits of the actions. Social work done for the benefit of worthy people should also be considered as a form of worshipping the Lord. Life itself is a form of worship. Every action is a puja. Every second of our lives is precious. Not even 1 second will repeat itself once it has passed. Listening to the right Shastras and always remembering him is the highest duty. Right knowledge, jnana, is greater than any miracle. Miracles are based on yoga siddhi, and the Shastras are performed only to show the greatness of God and the wonderful powers that one can attain with His grace. Without right knowledge, no real miracle can take place. Have devotion to the Lord. This devotion should never be blind faith. Accepting the Lord's supremacy wholeheartedly is true devotion. Blind faith is not devotion. It is only stupidity. We should have devotion not only for the Lord, but also for all other deities and preceptors in keeping with their status. Sri Raghavendra Swami attained Jiva Samadhi on this day in 1671. This date is celebrated each year as Sri Raghavendra Swami Aradhana at Vrindavans globally. Sri Raghavendra Swami spent his life in worship of the Lord and in service of humanity. He advised against pride and egoism and advocated speaking the truth and repentance for one's sins. He taught us of the importance of living peacefully and in harmony with others, saying, as per the Manu Dharma, love and respect your own religious formalities and the traditions with unalterable faith and devotion. Be kind and courteous to others' feelings and ideas. Do not hurt the feelings of others. Think about others. Act softly. Be selfless, polite, and kind.
Pujyaya Raghavendraya Sathya Dharmarataaya cha Bhajatam Kalpavrikshaya Namatam Kamadhinave.
Our most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Sai Ram to all from Thoric Sai Center. On this beautiful occasion of Guru Poornima, we embrace this opportunity to provide a tiny glimpse of how Patanjali Maharishi has shed light on knowledge to help us on our spiritual journey back to our God self. In the first instance, let us introduce you to who Patanjali Maharishi is. Sources state that Patanjali Maharishi lived on earth at around 200 BC. In the Tamil culture, he is regarded to be an incarnation of Adishesha, the thousand-headed serpent upon which Lord Vishnu reclines. One time, while Lord Vishnu was in deep meditation, he was enjoying the cosmic dance of Lord Shiva as Nataraja. During that meditation, Lord Vishnu became incredibly heavy for Adishesha, and Adishesha then desired the experience of witnessing the cosmic dance for himself. To honour this request, Lord Vishnu commanded Adishesha to serve Lord Nataraja in Chidambaram. In that place, a lady called Ganesha, who sensed she was going to live no more, prayed for a baby with her palms in the Jala position, whereby both palms face upwards towards heaven. A small baby humanoid snake fell from the sky, which of course was Adishesha himself, and thus Patanjali Maharishi was born. The legacy of Patanjali Maharishi. By virtue of having a great natural connection to both Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, Patanjali Maharishi brought the gift of the Patanjali Tantra, which is one of the main sources of knowledge for Ayurvedic medicine today. Guidance on social health, which includes knowledge on language and grammar, is given in the Mahabhashyam. Everyone in Britain is very much concerned with the roadmap to normality from the notorious pandemic. However, of greater relevance to our personal journey on planet Earth is a roadmap to the much sought-after state of Samadhi. These are known as the Yoga Sutras, which provide the basis for what modern yoga has become today. To help us with our human quest to achieve peace and contentment, Patanjali Maharishi put together the Yoga Sutras, which are commonly known in the Western yoga circles as the 8 limbs of yoga. As we master each stage, it enables the aspirant to progress to the next level. When we translate and depict these Sanskrit terms into English to describe these 8 limbs, please forgive the fact that the whole essence of the word cannot always be captured. We strive to hint broadly at what it means within the following slides. Limb 1, Yamas. This can be roughly translated into self-restraint. There are 5 yamas. A person making good progress at this stage may be able to say, I practice non-violence. I also practice telling the truth and being honest to myself. I do not steal in any way. I have mastered control of my senses. And finally, I have no need to feel possessive over anything. Everything belongs to God. The next limb is 2, niyamas or observances. There are 5 different niyamas, and someone doing well at this stage will be able to say, all is well and I am content, regardless of the results of my actions. I can endure hardships, tolerate extremes, and take up fasting. I read and contemplate upon spiritual literature on a regular basis. I am clean. My body and environment are clean, and so is my mind. Lower emotions do not control me. And finally, I completely surrender to God, and everything I do is for the sake of the divine. Once the first 2 stages are mastered, the next stage to conquer is the asanas, or movements and postures. This is a stage that most people are familiar with when the word yoga is mentioned. By seeing this presentation, hopefully you will now realize that yoga is so much more than just postures for the physical body. The next stage is pranayama, or breath control. We know that carrying out these breathing exercises also help to regulate our emotions and their effect on our mind. Next is pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. A good interpretation of this stage is when an aspirant can say, I am aware and can observe what my senses pick up, but quickly let it pass and let them not affect me. Now that we have mastery over our senses, this makes it easier to concentrate, dharana. Someone doing well at this stage may be able to say, I can now concentrate and I'm developing my one-pointed focus. I also have a steadfast mind. As one can now concentrate with a one-pointed focus, This paves the way for enabling the aspirant to successfully meditate, which is stage 7, dhyana. Being able to access this state of meditation on a regular basis thus enables the aspirant to achieve a state of samadhi. Stage 8, samadhi, the state of connectedness with the higher self, the divine within. Many spiritual traditions that are based on the universal teachings of our Sanatana Dharma make reference to Maharishi Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga in an effort to help the aspirant to reach their goal. We are indeed grateful and thankful to him for having laid out this framework for us to follow. Lots of aspirants around the world enjoy working through these stages. In this day and age of instant gratification, some of us may be thinking that these 8 stages seem quite laborious. Well, there is indeed good news from Swami. We can truly see the magnificence, splendour and glory of our dear Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, as he has actually revealed a brilliant shortcut that allows us to fast track through these stages quickly. Can you guess what that might be? That's right, you guessed it. It's none other than bhajan singing. If we can feel that state of oneness and ecstasy with the Lord during bhajan singing, we are in samadhi. Our heartfelt gratitude to Swami for reviving the revered practices, especially the knowledge given to us by the great Guru and scientist Patanjali Maharishi. May this glorious knowledge enrich our lives and help us to achieve our goals. Many, many salutations to all the Gurus in this presentation today. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, everyone. I'd just like to explain that it was like Swami being the Divine Father, and the Yoga Sutras was the roadmap as the Divine Mother on how to elevate one's life to the ultimate goal.
Guru Gobind Singh. Gobind Singh, original name Govind Rai, born 1666, Patna, Bihar, India, died October the 7th, 1708, Nanand, Maharashtra, 10th and the last of the personal Sikh gurus, known chiefly for his creation of the Khalsa, Punjabi, the pure, the military brotherhood of the Sikhs. He was the son of the 9th Guru, Teg Bahadur, who suffered martyrdom at the hands of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Gobind Singh's greatest achievement was his creation of the Khalsa in 1699. According to one tradition, one morning after services, he sat in meditation before a great number of Sikhs and asked if anyone would sacrifice himself for the faith. Finally, one man stepped out. The Guru and his victim disappeared in a tent. A few minutes later, Gobind Singh appeared with his sword dripping with blood, calling for another sacrificial volunteer. This ceremony continued until 5 men had volunteered. All 5 men then reappeared. According to one tradition, the men had been slain but were miraculously restored to life. And according to another, Gobind Singh had merely tested the men's faith and slaughtered 5 goats instead. Initiated with Amrit, sweetened water or nectar, and given the title Panch Pyare, the beloved 5, the 5 beloved. They formed the nuclear, the Khalsa. With the Khalsa as the guiding spirit of the reconstituted Sikh army, Gobind Singh moved against the Sikhs' enemies on 2 fronts, one army against the Mughals and the other against the hill tribes. His troops were totally devoted and totally committed to Sikh ideals, willing to risk everything in the cause of Sikh religious and political freedom. He paid a heavy price for this freedom, however. In one battle near Ambala, he lost all four of his sons. Later, the struggle claimed his wife, mother and father. He himself was killed by Pushtun tribesmen in revenge of the death of his father. Govind Singh was a man of great intellectual attainments. He was a linguist familiar with Persian, Arabic and Sanskrit, as well as his native Punjabi. He further codified Sikh law, wrote martial poetry and music, and was the reputed author of the Sikh work called the Dasam Granth, the 10th volume. Govind Singh proclaimed that he was the last of the personal gurus. From the point forward, the Sikh guru was to be the holy book, the Adi Granth. Gobind Singh stands today in the minds of Sikh as the ideal chivalry and the Sikh soldier saint.
Rishi Vishwamitra, a king who became a sage. He's also known as the friend of the universe. A renowned rishi, known for many things, chief amongst which include his role in the Ramayana and creating the second heaven for Trishanku. His most important achievement is the Gayatri Mantra, the mother of all mantras. So, what led Vishwamitra to find this greatest of treasures for mankind? It's apt to mention here our Guru, Sri Sathya Sai Baba, gave so much importance to this one mantra. Swami always said that the chanting of the Gayatri Mantra alone can save you from any calamity. The Gayatri Mantra is a universal mantra which can be chanted by anyone regardless of race, gender, creed, language. This mantra has been chanted by millions over centuries. Sage Vishwamitra's clash with Sage Vashishta over the wish-fulfilling cow, Nandini, was the beginning of his journey to becoming a Brahma Rishi. He faced numerous challenges. His journey from king to sage freed him of all his negative qualities: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Mamada, Matsarya and Ahamkara. He took it as a challenge after his defeat by Vashishta to attain the status of a Brahma Rishi. He underwent many failures, but he persisted. He first became a Raja Rishi, and then he continued until he was a Maharishi. The process to become a Brahma Rishi, however, was difficult. Thousands of years passed by in meditation. Brahma, the creator, appeared in front of Vishwamitra and said, "Your great will and single-mindedness has made you a Raja Rishi." At this point, Vishwamitra is still not happy. He was self-auditing. Where did I go wrong? He asked himself. He realized that one day, whilst he was meditating, he was distracted by a beautiful bird singing. He cursed the bird in anger. He realized that God may have touched his heart, but there was still anger in his heart. He continues to meditate and realizes that he has anger because he has the desire to become a Brahma Rishi. He asks himself, why do I have desire? Desire has attachments. Why do I have attachments when I have given up everything? He realizes he has attachments simply because he dwells on things. I dwell upon the beauty of the tree and get attached to the tree. I dwell on the fragrance of the flower and then get attached to it. I dwell upon the beauty of the woman and get attached to that woman. Attachments occur because I dwell on things. Vishwamitra wasn't able to think about the Creator because he was thinking of the creation. So he realized that the solution is to think of the Creator, not about the creation itself. That is the transformation process. Vishwamitra asks God, how can I seek God, my Lord? Lord Vishnu says,
seek me through service.
Vishwamitra questions, how can I serve the Lord my God? Lord Vishnu says,
serve me by loving me, only love.
Vishwamitra asks, how shall I love God, my Lord? Lord Vishnu says,
Vishwamitra, friend of universe, you shall always be with me. You will always be in infinite bliss.
Lord Vishnu gives Vishwamitra a simple wooden staff and says,
you are now a Brahma Rishi, and when you speak my will.
Tears flow down Vishwamitra's cheeks. Vishwamitra says, when I have God, I don't want the title. The title means nothing now. Isn't that the case with all our aspirations? It's a leela that God plays. Nonetheless, Vishwamitra says, these very hands that are holding the staff of God were once going to strike Rishi Vashishta, my Gurudev. How can I atone for that sin, my Lord?
The dark ages are coming, my son. Through your willpower alone you found me. Pure human willpower alone found me. In the dark ages, it is not possible to find God with just human willpower. Will you not find a solution to help mankind from sufferings in these dark ages, my son, so that everybody can use it? So in the depth of the dark ages, everybody can use that little tool and be enlightened in the same way that you are.
Upon the command of Lord Vishnu, Vishwamitra goes back into meditation. He travels forward into the dark ages and sees the human suffering through astral traveling. He begins to feel the human suffering brought about by lust, possessiveness, anger, greed, and all the various negative qualities. His heart cannot tolerate this suffering of mankind. How incredible was this level of suffering! He meditates fervently and deeply. He pleads with the Almighty, Help me get rid of this suffering of humanity, Lord. Please show me something. He continues for thousands of years. Then he sees Mother Gayatri appearing from the sun. She gives him the mother of all mantras. His heart is torn with pain. He then suddenly hears a sound from the universe.
Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonah Prachodayat.
As he focuses on that sound, the pain that he felt from humanity reduces. The indistinct sound becomes more distinct. The syllables begin to separate from the sound. They arrange themselves into 24 syllables. 24 syllables arrange themselves behind his spiritual eye. 8 syllables per line arranged into 3 lines. He looks at those lines and begins to chant them loudly. He realizes this is the solution for mankind's suffering. As soon as he realizes this, the pain that he was enduring in his heart melts away. Through divine grace, he now knows that the will of God has been done. He knows he has found a mantra that is so great that in the darkest moments of human suffering, just listening to it will alleviate that suffering. Vishwamitra says, just listening to it heals my heart. I shall call this the Gayatri Mantra. He begins to chant. He hears as though lots of people are chanting the Gayatri Mantra. He reaches for the staff of God and opens his eyes. He sees Brahma Rishi Vashishta standing there with a smile on his face and eyes filled with love and compassion.
Vishwamitra, you are Brahma Rishi, the one through whom God speaks his will. God has used your anger to serve a purpose, and you have given a great gift to mankind. The Gayatri Mantra chanting will give enlightenment to whoever chants it. Vishwamitra, your name will stand as long as the sun and moon stands. Vijayi Bhavaha. Vishwamitra Rishinam Drishtham Vishwamitra Swarupini Pranami Vyaharau Devi Gayatri Shirasa Saha Ya Sandhya Mandala Gatha Ya Trimurti Swarupini Saraswati Ya Savitri Tvam Vande Vedamataram Ya Visvajanani Devi Ya Trimurti Swarupini Gayatri Rupini Yahi Tvam Vande Saptamatrakam.
So it was through the efforts of Vishwamitra that the Gayatri Mantra was given to us by God himself. No matter how heavy our cosmic burden might be, chanting the Gayatri Mantra with devotion is capable of parting the veil of Maya, so we can perceive the eternal bliss of the Creator in our heart. Will you please join me in chanting this mantra, as millions of people have over millions of years? We will play Swami chanting this mantra as per the message by our Guru, Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
Om Bhurvuvassuvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat.
Sai Ram. Sage Vasistha is one of the most well-known and respected rishis in our Hindu Vedic scriptures. He is classified as one of the Sapta rishis, one of the 7 great rishis of India, and is also known as a Brahma Rishi, a sage who has attained enlightenment. Sage Vasistha is noted as a chief author of the 7th mandala of the Rig Veda, which is amongst the oldest layer of hymns in Hindu scriptures. He held a key role in the Ramayana and Mahabharata. His name means most excellent, richest, unparalleled brightness. And according to his name, he has conquered all the negative qualities like desire, anger, sorrow, jealousy, and pride.
Sage Vasistha was said to be born to Mitravaruna and Urvasi. He was married to Arundhati, and both they lived on the banks of Ganga with a divine cow Kamadhenu and her daughter Nandini, who could grant anything to their owners. The possession of the boon-providing cow was the basis of the legendary feud between Vasistha and Vishwamitra. When Vishwamitra was still a king, he fought Vasistha to the ownership of a divine cow for himself. The king was, however, defeated by the power of Vasistha's penance. This led to the shedding of his ego and ultimately enabled him to become sage Vishwamitra. Now, let us hear from our older SSC children who will focus on sage Vasistha's role on the Ramayana.
Sage Vasistha is often described as a sage with long flowing hairs that are neatly tied into a bun, that is coiled with a tuft to the right, a beard, a handlebar moustache, and vibhuti on his forehead. Sage Vasistha was a Kula Guru, the family priest, for the Raghu dynasty, and subsequently a teacher to Lord Rama and his brothers. He had a key role in the Ramayana. Despite Lord Rama being an avatar of Lord Vishnu, Rama was born without the knowledge of his true self, i.e. as an ordinary man. But Vasistha, being a Maharishi, knew the truth due to his Jnana Drishti, his open third eye, and knew how the whole saga would pan out.
Before the story of the Ramayana unfolded as we know it, it was sage Vasistha that taught Lord Rama the spiritual wisdom regarding philosophical problems of life and death and human suffering. When young Rama realized the reality of the physical world and the misery associated with it, he became disheartened. When he sought refuge in sage Vasistha, the enlightened being provided him with the pinnacle of truth of this existence. This conversation has been captured as the Yoga Vasistha scriptures, featuring over 36,000 verses.
Sage Vasistha was the one responsible for naming the 4 sons, Rama, Lakshmana, Shatrughna and Bharata, one of the most pivotal and defining moments of the Ramayana that re-emphasized the fate of the whole epic. Sage Vasistha choosing the name Rama in particular is of huge importance. When the word Rama split, it shows the existence of Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva's powers in the name Ra is the main syllable from Lord Vishnu's chant Om Namo Narayana, and Ma from Lord Shiva's chant Om Namah Shivaya. Nama Smarana with Rama's name is the easiest way to escape the turmoil of Kali Yuga.
In his Divine Discourse, 7th April 2006, our Swami says the divine name of Rama is full of sweetness and it remains sweet forever. There have been many incarnations of God on earth, but the divine name of Rama has remained eternal. Since ancient times, Ramanama has remained as the Taraka mantra that liberates for one and all. Right from children to elders, everyone can derive the bliss of chanting Ramanama. Age is no obstacle in experiencing the sweetness of Ramanama. There is immense sweetness in this name. We should never give up such a sweet nectarine and blissful Ramanama even for a second. To show our gratitude to Sage Vasishta for bestowing us with the gift that is the name Rama, and for all the spiritual wisdom that he has sprinkled into our Hindu scriptures, we would like to dedicate our Ramanama mantra offering to him.
Shri Ram Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane Shri Ram Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane Shri Ram Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
మనసును అనుసరించినప్పుడు మనం తిరిగి మాయలో పడిపోతాం.
When once you follow your mind, you'll be getting deluded.
మనసును ఆధారముగా కొన్న మానవుండు.
The man who goes by the vagaries of the mind.
మనసును ఆధారముగా కొన్న మానవుండు.
The man who takes the mind as the basis.
భ్రమణ కంటెను హీనమై బ్రతుకు చెడును.
He will spoil his own life worse than that of a bee.
బుద్ధిని ఆధారముగా కొన్న బుధజనుండు.
An intelligent man who goes by his intellect.
మాధవునిగను మారును మదియందు.
He will transform himself into God on earth.
బుద్ధిని ఆధారం చేసుకోవాలి.
Rely on your intellect.
మైండ్ ను మనం ఆధారం చేసుకోకూడదు.
Don't follow the mind.
ఈ మైండ్ అనేటువంటిది కేవలం సంకల్ప వికల్పాలతో రూపొందుతుండాలి.
Mind is bundle of thoughts and counter thoughts.
ఈ మైండ్ కు ఒక రూపం లేదు.
Mind has no form.
ఇది ఏమిటి?
What is this?
ఇది వస్త్రము.
This is a cloth.
ఇది వస్త్రం కాదు.
It's not cloth.
ఇది దారము.
It's a thread.
ఇది దారం కాదు.
It's not thread.
ఇది ప్రత్తి.
It's cotton.
ఈ విధంగా విచారణ చేస్తుంటే ఇది నాది కాదు, ఇది కాదు, ఇది కాదు, ఇది కాదు అని పోతుంటాది. ఈ విధమైనటువంటిదే మనసు యొక్క భ్రమ.
Like this you can go on proceeding along the path of inquiry through the theory of negation.
చక్కగా ఒక చిన్న విషయాన్ని గుర్తించాలి.
Students understand this simple thing clearly.
నా దేహము,
my body,
నా మనసు,
my mind
అంటే ఏం అర్థం?
What's the meaning?
ఇది చక్కగా నీ విచారణ చేస్తే నా మనసు అంటే మై మైండ్ అంటున్నావు.
My mind, you say so.
నా దేహం అనుకుంటే మై బాడీ అనుకుంటున్నాము.
When you claim that your body, you say my body.
సరైన అర్థం కాదు.
It doesn't convey proper meaning.
నా దేహము, నా అనగా కాదు, దేహము నేను కాదు. నా దేహము దేహము నేను కాదు.
Na means no. Deha, body. I am not the body.
నా మనసు, మనసు నేను కాదు.
Na, no. Manas, mind. I am not the mind.
వేదాంత తత్వమునందు చక్కగా ప్రవేశించి దీనిని విచారణ చేస్తూ వస్తే మనసు నేను కాదు, బుద్ధి నేను కాదు, మనసు నేను కాదు, సెన్స్ నేను కాదు, ఏది నేను కాదు. ఎవరు నీవు? ఐ ఆమ్ ఐ. నేను నేనే.
Like this Vedanta will explain clearly that you are not the body, that you are not the mind, you are not the intellect, that you are not the senses. Then who are you?
వేదాంతమునందు కూడాను అహం బ్రహ్మాస్మి అన్నారు.
In Vedanta, you say that aham brahmasmi.
ఇది కూడాను ప్రాకృతమైనటువంటి యొక్క అర్థమే కానీ బ్రహ్మతత్వంతో కూడినటువంటి అర్థం కాదు.
It's also worldly interpretation, but not the actual divine principle.
ఈ జగత్తు యొక్క స్వరూపాన్ని పురస్కరించుకొని వేదములు 4 వేదములందు కూడాను అహం బ్రహ్మాస్మి, ప్రజ్ఞానం బ్రహ్మ, అయమాత్మ బ్రహ్మ, తత్వం అసి అనే మహావాక్యాలను రూపొందాయి.
The 4 Vedas declare mahavakyas. Aham brahmasmi, prajnanam brahma.
ఈ వేదమంతా కూడాను ద్వైతమే.
The entire Veda is dualism.
కాబట్టి వేదములే ద్వైతమైనప్పుడు ఇంకా మనకి ఎక్కడ అద్వైతం చిక్కుతుంది?
When Veda itself is dualism, how do you expect non-dualism?
జగత్తులో ఏది నాకు కావాలి, ఏది నాకు సుఖము, ఏది నేను అనుభవించాలి, ఏది నా మార్గము అనేటువంటిది తెలపడానికే ఈ వేదములంతా ఆవిర్భవించాయి.
Veda is meant to make you and to show you the path to be happy, to be comfortable and the actual
బ్రహ్మచారి
path to
ఎట్లా
divinity.
ఉండాలి, గృహస్థుడు ఎట్లా ఉండాలి, వానప్రస్థుడు ఎట్లా ఉండాలి, సన్యాసి ఎట్లా ఉండాలి.
Veda tells you how a celibate should conduct himself, how a householder
ఇవన్నిటినీ
should conduct himself.
బోధించేటువంటిది వేదము.
Veda teaches our code of
కానీ
conduct.
వేదము ద్వైతమే.
But Veda is dualism.
కానీ వేదాంతము అద్వైతం.
But Vedanta is
ఆ
non-dualism.
వేదాంతమే ఉపనిషత్తులు.
That Vedanta is Upanishad.
ఆ వేదాంతమునందు కూడాను దీనిని ఖండిస్తూ వచ్చింది.
In Vedanta also negates these
అహం
ideas.
బ్రహ్మాస్మి, ఇందులో 2 ఉంటుండాలి.
When it is said Aham Brahmasmi, there is dualism.
నేను బ్రహ్మను,
I am Brahma.
నేను బ్రహ్మ 2 ఉంటున్నాయి.
Here too I and Brahma. Dualism, not non-dualism.
ఈ విధమైనటువంటి మార్గం నందు దైవత్వమైనటువంటి సర్వత్రా కూడా ఉంటుండాలి.
In this path you can understand that divinity is everywhere.
కానీ మన అజ్ఞానం చేతను, మన యొక్క విచారణ చేతను సత్యాన్ని గుర్తించుకోలేక అనేక విధములైన బాధలకు గురి అయిపోతున్నాం.
Because of our ignorance, we suffer. We are put to so many troubles.
దీనికి చిన్న ఉదాహరణ,
A small example.
ఈనాటి యొక్క పేరు ప్రతిష్టలను పురస్కరించుకొని మనం చక్కగా గుర్తించాలి.
You can understand what is popular in the modern times. Today.
ఈనాడు గురు పూర్ణిమ అన్నాము.
Today is called Guru Poornima.
ఇది సరి అయినటువంటి యొక్క పదము కాదు.
It is not the exact word.
ఈ గురు పౌర్ణిమ అనేటువంటిది ఎవరో కొంతమంది పండితులుగా ఉండేటువంటి వారు గురువుగా ఉంటుండి శిష్యులను వశం చేసుకోవాలనే ఉద్దేశంతో దీనికి గురు పౌర్ణిమ అని పేరు పెట్టిండొచ్చు.
Some scholars who act as gurus or preceptors in order to receive certain gifts from disciples, they call it Guru Poornima.
పేరు ఏమిటంటే వ్యాస పూర్ణిమ అంటారు.
The correct name is Vyasa Poornima.
ఈ పూర్ణిమ దినమే వ్యాసుడు పుట్టినటువంటిది.
Vyasa was born on this Poornima day.
అనంత వేదములంతా కూడా నువ్వు విభజించి ఋగ్వేద, యజుర్వేద, సామవేద, అథర్వణ వేదని 4 వేదములుగా విభజించిన దినం కూడాను ఈ పౌర్ణమి దినమే.
It was on this day of full moon he classified Vedas into 4 important parts.
18 పురాణములు రాసింది కూడాను పౌర్ణమి దినమే.
It was on this day of Purnami all the 18 epics
కనుకనే
were
వ్యాస
composed.
పూర్ణిమ అని దీనికి ఒక పేరు.
So it is called Vyasa Purnima.
అయితే క్రమక్రమేణా ఈ వ్యాస పౌర్ణమి మరుగుపడుతూ గురు పౌర్ణిమ అనేటువంటిది వెలువడుతూ వచ్చింది.
Later this word Vyasa Purnima is forgotten and now we call it Guru Poornima.
వ్యాస పౌర్ణిమ అంటే వ్యాసుడు చాలా గొప్పవాడు, విద్యావంతుడు.
Vyasa is highly knowledgeable, the one of wisdom.
అనంతమైనటువంటి వేదములను అల్పాయుష్షు కలిగినటువంటి మానవుడు దీని అధ్యయనం చేయలేడు.
Man with short lifespan cannot go through the infinite knowledge of
అన్ని
Veda.
వేదముల నుండి ఉండినటువంటి యొక్క రుక్కులను ప్రత్యేకం చేసి దీనికి ఒక ఋగ్వేదము అని పెట్టాడు.
He separated all Rukkulu or main principles and called it Rigveda.
దీనిని మంత్ర స్వరూపము అన్నారు.
This is called full of mantras.
మననత్రాణ సమ్మిళితం ఇది మంత్రః అన్నారు. మననత్రాణం చేసేటువంటిదే మంత్రము.
That which is repeated again and again is mantra.
ఈ అనంతమైనటువంటి వేదముల్లో ఉండినటువంటి యొక్క యజస్సులంతా వేరు చేసి ఒక యజుర్వేదము అని దాన్ని ప్రత్యేకంగా పెట్టాడు.
The Yajus part of it is separate from Veda and it is called Yajurveda.
యజుస్ అనగా ఏమిటి? యజ్ఞయాగాది క్రతువులు ఆచరించడానికి ఉపయోగపడేటువంటిది.
Yajus deals with the methodology with regard to the rituals, yajna and yaga.
ఇంకా అన్ని వేదములు యందు ఉండినటువంటి సామములంతా ఒకటిగా చేర్చి
all sama part of it out of Veda
దీనికి సామవేదము అని పెట్టాడు.
is classified as Samaveda.
ఈ సామవేదం దేనికి పనికి వస్తుంది?
In what way is it used?
సంగీత సాహిత్యాలకంతా పనికి వస్తుంది.
Samaveda is used for music and literature.
కనుకనే సామగానము అని కూడా దీనికి ఒక పేరు వచ్చింది.
So it is called Samagana.
ఇంకా తరువాత అన్నిటినీ చూచాడు. అధర్వణములు అనేటువంటి చిక్కినాయి.
Then he could catch hold of Adharvanas.
దీనికి కొంత అస్త్రశస్త్రములకు,
for all weaponry and orchestry,
ఆరోగ్య శాఖకు సంబంధించినటువంటి హెల్త్ కు,
for all principles of health,
దీనికి సంబంధించినటువంటి మంత్రములంతా వేరు చేసి
all related mantras are segregated.
అధర్వణ వేదము అని పెట్టాడు.
And he called it Adharvana Veda.
ప్రజలకు అనేక అవస్థలతో గురి అవుతున్నటువంటి పరిస్థితిలో దీన్ని వేరువేరుగా చిన్నవిగా చేసి ప్రజలకు అందించినటువంటి వాడు కనుక ఇతనికి గురువు అని పేరు వచ్చింది.
As Vyasa classified this infinite knowledge of Veda into
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ तत्सत् श्रीनारायणतो पुरुषोत्तम गुरुतो सिद्धबुद्धतो स्कन्द विनायक सविता पावकतो सविता पावकतो ब्रह्ममर्जतो यहवशक्तितो येषु पिता प्रभुतो रुद्रविष्णुतो रामकृष्णतो रहीमतावतु रहीमतावतु वासुदेवगो विश्वरूपतो चिदानन्द हरितो अद्वितीयतो अकाल निर्भय आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतो आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतो आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतो। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्व प्राणपते स्वामी सर्व प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपद्बान्धवा। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरियन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरियन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्र शयन ॐ जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी ओ साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगलहारति अंदुको मंगलहारति अंदुको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।